Welcome back to Crypto Tutorial. On today's video, I would like to discuss Litecoin and how it's currently performing and how it will be performing during the upcoming days and hours. Also, I would like to actually show you my Twitter page and ask you to follow me down on Twitter at Thorough Crypto, where you will be kept up to date about all upcoming videos, and as well you will be able to see all possible trading scenarios that we will discuss during this channel. So don't forget to follow on Twitter at Thorough Crypto. Let's get started and take a look at Litecoin compared to Bitcoin. If we take a look at Litecoin compared to Bitcoin on the 4-hourly time frame, you can clearly see that we have been inside of this downward momentum for quite a while previously. Afterwards, we saw an increase since this point in time, but unfortunately, we have right now seen a decrease on Litecoin's strength compared to Bitcoin. This for me right now looks rather disturbing and actually not that good at all, and I'm not very pumped about how the development is looking on the Litecoin compared to Bitcoin chart. Therefore, I would like to actually go towards the 1-hourly time frame and take a look a little bit more closely. We are right now trading above this horizontal level of support at approximately 0.003 Bitcoin. You can clearly see that during the past, this horizontal level of support served as a major level of support at this point in time. As well, this wick of this daily candle got supported at this point in time as well. And if we take a look at some nearer parts, you could clearly see that there was major resistance at these levels as well here and over here before being able to break out towards the upside. Well, right now we are once again finding support on top of this blue line of support. For sure, I think this will perhaps hold strong for quite a while, but what I think is very concerning is if we take a look at a few things and why I think it's very probable that we will head even further down if we do not find major momentum towards the upside in the upcoming days. So therefore, I would like to enable the EMA ribbon. You can clearly see that the EMA ribbon on the daily time frame is clearly supporting Litecoin's strength compared to Bitcoin. That for me does look very good, and actually I'm not concerned about this at all due to the fact that this is a major level of support right now, especially because we are retesting the EMA ribbon for the very first time after we broke out above it. So this might be able to hold strong for a few days. But what I think is very concerning, if we enable the moving averages, you can clearly see that right at the same point in time, we are finding resistance by the 100-day moving average above us and as well by the 200-day moving average. We are clearly getting supported by the 50-day moving average, but for sure, the 50-day moving average is not as significant as the 100 and 200-day moving averages, and therefore I think it is very likely that we won't be able to actually break out above those levels. And the reason why is that we do not have major momentum towards the upside coming. If we enable the MACD, you can clearly see that we started a downward momentum yesterday. Unfortunately, this downward momentum might last for a few days, and that does actually occur quite regularly on the daily time frame, and therefore I think it is very likely that during the upcoming week we will still experience some downward momentum from this crossover on the daily time frame. Of course, if we take a look at the 4-hourly time frame, you can clearly see that there is upward momentum going on. We were not seeing a crossover occur. That I think is in particular something very good to know. It was almost heading towards a crossover, but it did not occur, and therefore we are trading on top of this horizontal level of support. So on the 4-hourly time frame is looking a bit better, but of course I think you have to take into consideration that we saw a crossover on the daily time frame, and that might have more significance than this crossover that did not occur on the daily time frame. As well, if we take a look at the RSI, what I think is good to know on the 4-hourly time frame is that we are right now seeing the RSI head once again towards the middle of the purple area. We are inside of the purple part of the RSI, and what I think is good to know about this is that we are actually able to go either way. We are able to actually perform very well and increase in strength compared to Bitcoin, but as well it is very likely that we could go even further down, and on both scenarios we still have a lot of space. So it is very probable that we will see a major decrease or a major increase due to the fact that we are not still underneath the dotted line on the lower part on the RSI, and that we aren't either above the dotted line on the upper part of the RSI, and therefore we are not expecting any type of reversal on the RSI right now as strength compared to Bitcoin. for sure, we are not spotting any type of bullish or bearish divergence. So for me, it's looking good, but it's not looking extremely good due to the fact that we are likely to break out towards the downside, and we still have enough room on the RSI to actually break down towards the downside and eventually trade back up once again. So this being said, I would like to discuss the Litecoin compared to USD chart, and what I would like to discuss on the Litecoin compared to USD chart is actually where we are currently at. You can clearly see that we were heading towards the 0.382 Fibonacci level. That is the golden pocket entry, and as well the thin yellow line you're seeing. We got clearly rejected at this point in time. What I think is good to know is if we take a look at further back in the past, if we would just like extend this line, and that is exactly what I will actually do right now. I will extend it by placing this blue line right on top. You can clearly see that this 0.382 level of Fibonacci has been a major level of resistance previously. We got rejected by it in the past already several times, and as well, even more important, we have been able to find support on top of it as well. Therefore, this horizontal level of support and resistance is of utmost importance and really significant. And that is also why I think that with the current downward momentum that we were experiencing on the Bitcoin chart, Ethereum chart, and many others, Litecoin had to suffer as well due to the fact that it had not enough strength to actually be able to stay on top, find support on it, and trade even further towards the upside. And therefore we are right now seeing this major downward momentum. Of course, what I think is also good to know on the Litecoin chart is that we are trading on top of the 0.236 Fibonacci level at $177. And what I would like to enable on the 4-hourly time frame is actually the EMA ribbon. You can clearly see that we saw a crossover occur. We did not find support on top of the EMA ribbon. Once we broke out above it, we broke actually through it, and right now we are experiencing some major resistance underneath it. It is very likely that we're going to break out towards the downsides due to the fact that we are not seeing a lot of strength on the Bitcoin daily time frame, on the MACD, neither on the RSI. We are not spotting any type of bullish or bearish divergence, and that is also why I would like to enable the RSI right now. What you can clearly see is that we are creating actually you could perhaps say, even low. So the lows are actually right on the same part, well, approximately right, and we are seeing a higher low getting created on the RSI. So perhaps if we see this chart head a little bit further down and the RSI stay on the exact same place, we might see a bullish divergence getting created. But right now I do not take this into account as a bullish divergence. Therefore, I think it is very unlikely that we are going to see enough strength to actually see a retest of the EMA ribbon, breaking out above it and perhaps finding support on top of it. I think the scenario of retesting the EMA ribbon and actually getting rejected by it, heading towards the downside, is something rather likely to occur. As well, I would like to discuss the MACD on the 4-hourly and daily time frame. If we take a look at the 4-hourly time frame, you can clearly see that I think it is quite good to know that Litecoin was actually able to cross over on the 4-hourly MACD. After that crossover, you could exactly see that we saw a second crossover occur, that we are experiencing some momentum towards the upside. So this actually helped us to stay right on top of the level where we are currently at. But if we take a look at the daily time frame, I think something even more significant occurred, and that is that we saw this crossover and that we have not seen it stop ever since this crossover just 3 days ago. This is actually concerning to me due to the fact that if this continues, we might see a major reversal in its price, and that we might see an even further decline towards the downside on the Litecoin chart. Of course, we are getting supported by the EMA ribbon on the daily time frame. You can clearly see that that is also actually helping us right now, but it's already been the second retest of the EMA ribbon since we broke out above it, and therefore I think it is quite likely that we might be able to break out underneath it, or actually break down, due to the fact that the EMA ribbon already served as a major stronghold before. If we take a look as well at the moving averages on the daily time frame, what I would like to show you is that the moving averages right now, if I disable the EMA ribbon, are actually serving as major levels of support, and that is actually quite good if you ask me. Also, really good to know is that we actually saw a crossover of the 50-day moving average above the 100 and 200-day moving average, and they are all three serving as major levels of support. These three will be very unlikely to not hold strong, but as you can clearly see in the past, we found support on top of those many times. Therefore, I think it is very likely that if we see major momentum towards the downside, we might experience once again a breakdown towards the downside underneath the moving averages, and that they won't be able to hold strong. And what does actually actually concern me even more is that we might see these moving averages act as resistance above us instead as support underneath us, and that would be once again very sad due to the fact that they were major levels of resistance previously, and you could clearly see that once we tried to break out towards the upside, we experienced some major resistance at those points in time. So this being said, I would like to actually just take a look lastly at the 4-hourly time frame and what a possible breakout would look like and where we could perhaps be heading towards. But before doing so, I would actually like to show you my YouTube channel, and do not forget, if you're liking the content so far, to hit that like button and as well just subscribe to the channel to stay up to date about our upcoming new videos. So thank you very much already for doing so, and let's get started once again on the Litecoin compared to USD chart. You could clearly see that we saw a major breakout towards the upside, and this breakout occurred actually in the past before we saw this major downward momentum happen. Therefore, I would like to actually enable this. This is a parallel channel tool, and what I think is actually very good to know is that this was some period of time a parallel channel. You could clearly see that once we broke out above this parallel channel, we experienced some major momentum towards the upside. So I will be measuring it like this. This major momentum towards the upside did actually occur. We almost saw even a further momentum towards the upside. We saw a breakout that was even more significant than the measurement of this parallel channel. But what I think is concerning right now is that we re-entered the parallel channel. We did not find support at all on top of this horizontal level of previous resistance, and I think that is just, of course, very bad. Also, what you can clearly see is that we are right now once again inside of this parallel channel, and what I would like actually to say is that we do not count this as a parallel channel anymore due to the fact that we can clearly see a breakout and we are not seeing anymore. We aren't experiencing any more touch points inside of this part of the parallel channel. Therefore, I would like to actually remove the parallel channel. But what I wanted to show you is actually that we did actually experience a major breakout. We saw a major breakdown afterwards, and we could perhaps see as well a potential move towards the downside, start creating similar to this parallel channel. So I will be placing the parallel channel over here. What I would like to do is actually take a look at the 1-hourly time frame just to make it clear how it's currently looking at this point in time. And what you can clearly see over here is that we might start getting created as well a parallel channel, but just not as big as the previous one. Therefore, I would like to draw the parallel channel by selecting my parallel channel tool and just placing it over here. So you can clearly see that we are inside of this parallel channel. We already have seen multiple touch points on the horizontal level of resistance above, and we have seen as well already multiple touch points on the horizontal level of support underneath. Therefore, I think it is very likely that if we see a breakout occur right now, that we are going to see a breakout occur that is something outside of this parallel channel, and therefore I would like to measure the breakout, how it could possibly be. If we take a look at the breakout and measure it like this, it could be very likely that we are going to see a breakdown or a breakout below this horizontal level of support all the way towards the $155 level. Okay, this being said, I would like to enable lastly the EMA ribbon once again, and what you can clearly see is that we are not finding any type of support by the EMA ribbon underneath us on the 1-hourly time frame. If we take a look at the 4-hourly time frame, for example, we have the exact same scenario. We are not finding any type of support by the EMA ribbon underneath us. So it is very likely that if we experience right now major momentum towards the downside, that this possible breakout, it won't be a 10% breakout. I personally think that we will go even further towards the downside. And just to take a look where that could possibly be, I would like to actually draw one last thing, and that is actually this level over here. You could clearly see that at this point in time, we were able to see significant resistance. We saw several touch points that were not able to break out above this horizontal level of resistance before we were and found support on top of it. Therefore, I think this is very likely to be the next possible level where we will be heading towards at $149. But you have to take into consideration that if we do not hold strong, it might perhaps be even further towards the downside at approximately, let's say, $135 or even further down. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you like the content so far, do not forget to hit that like button, and as well, I would like to wish you a pleasant day. Bye bye.